So hi guys, welcome to CBE. Today we're doing some muzzle work with Ruben. Ruben is, as you might know, is in for human aggression. He's bitten a few people before, and this is all due to fear. So we're getting him used to the muzzle, which will allow us to do different types of work with this dog, and we'll be able to move his rehab in different directions, and which will allow us to be a lot safer, and it will allow us to do things that he might bite us with. So what Elliot's doing here now, he's just putting a bit of food inside of the muzzle. Of course, he's allowing the dog to try and reach in to get to the food. The idea is to slowly get the dog accustomed to having his nose in there for a prolonged period of time, making it harder and harder, just like that right now, to get the treat. And teaching a dog to have a muzzle on is a great way of making sure that everybody stays safe. So he has come a long way. Ruben's doing very, very well, as you can see. He's we didn't put any videos up of him when he first got here on how he first was. We just want to show the end result, and the owners will definitely be able to see the difference here now, knowing their dog, knowing what the dog is capable of and what the dog has done. They'll be able to see there is a lot more trust here with this dog and what we're doing today. Yeah, so he gets a little bit nervous having that thing strapped around his back, which is fine. He loves a scratch. There we go, good boy. So we're using meat, like beef, minute steaks, last night's dinner. Whenever you're doing a thing like this with a dog, trying to get him accustomed to whether it's a muzzle or something new, it's always encouraged to use high value food. We usually use steak, camembert cheese that's about 2 or 3 weeks over date. Works very well with the dogs because the smell of it is very potent and they love it.
Good boy. Get it.
The sound in the background that you can hear, it's just Hooch running on the treadmill this morning here for us while we do this.
Not shaking. No.
So what Ruben's doing here now is trying to manipulate the situation by shaking. That usually gets the treat, so it's just a conditioning process where the dog's learnt that if I shake, I usually get something out of it, I get a reward. I get my treat. So he's just trying to see if there's an easier way to get into that food than having to stick his head into a muzzle, but unfortunate for him, it's just not on. That's what he has to do. So we also exercised Ruben this morning before we're doing this. We want to make sure that we're doing this in the calmest state of mind as possible, because that tool, the muzzle, everything that we're doing must represent a nice calm state. Everything is calm, everything's relaxed. The muzzle represents relaxation, safety. If we do that when they're too hyperactive, he will struggle a lot more. He will have a lot more beans. He's going to try and fight a lot more, as in not as in fight as in the actual fight, but struggle or mentally challenge the food in a different way than he would if he's a lot more relaxed. So this is very important that the dog is nice and relaxed, exercised. So he's gone for a probably 85-90 minute walk, which is good. He's a low energy dog. So he's going to sleep for the next 6 hours. After this, he does not do very long walks, this dog. So for those people that might have missed it, he's got used to now putting his head inside the muzzle. But as soon as we go to put the strap around the top of his neck, it represents a problem for him, it represents an issue for him. So the best thing here to do is to put the muzzle down for a bit and work on getting him used to having that strap, or having a strap or a collar go around the neck. So we're going to introduce a collar, a nice large collar. He's going to do very fine. So we're going to try and get him to do the same thing with the muzzle. Just going to put the treat on the outside. So we want his head to come in and out of the collar, and that way we're going to try and desensitize him to having something around the neck. So you'll just hold it and present it to him first. He has a good sniff of it, sees what it is, and we'll tackle one thing at a time. So that's it, that's very good. So the idea is to put the collar on him, take it off, put it on him, take it off, put it on him, take it off. Have it walk around his neck a little bit, move it. And we're going to start desensitizing him to having something on to the top of his head. Here we go. So obviously the point of this exercise is to get him used to having that going over the back of his neck. So we're going to open the collar up and use it as a strap to just go over the top of his neck, just like the strap on that muzzle would be doing for him. And let's see if we can sort of start to change the association. Here we go, see how that becomes negative for him all of a sudden. Very different. So it's always as well very helpful to bring the object from underneath the dog's chin up on towards his head, rather than going straight over the top of the dog. We want the dog to be able to see it, not perceive it as a threat, and turn this into a reward-based exercise for him. See, we want him to be curious about the object, we want him to want to be near it. And see the difference that it made once that collar is open, because he was fine with it in the beginning. So it's made a big difference. So once it's closed like that, it's just very, very different. So the actual origins of this sort of issue is debatable. There's a lot of things that you can take into consideration, but at the end of the day, it's not necessarily where we're coming from, but it's more about where we're going. And as a kid, my dad always used to tell me, our eyes, our ears, your nose, your mouth are on the front of your head to see where you're going, not where you're coming from. So if you can't learn from the past, let it go and move on.
Sit.
So it's also good to note, guys, that if you are training your dog at home, if you're trying to, in a way, rehabilitate your dog at home and you're doing certain exercises, the idea is to, when you're training your dog, you want to be doing it for say 1 hour, an hour and a half maximum. You don't want to do any more than that really at any given time. In between training, say you do 3 sessions in a day of an hour each maybe, and as the first session might be an hour, the second session could be about 50 minutes and down to 45 minutes. So you want to decrease the amount of time that you're actually doing the exercises with the dog. But the rest of the time, what you're doing, you're trying to build upon what you've just been teaching the dog. So at random times throughout the day, we'll present the lead back to him, we'll present the collar back to him. So all you're going to really be doing is that the rest of the time you are just consolidating, you are making, you're just creating that bond between him and the object stronger and stronger each time. That move away there was not fear, it was more of a play. You can see the little jolt in his body. That was more of a playful type of behavior from him, which is good for now. But at the end, we want him to be nice and calm to put this on. So this is what we're going to try and work our ways up to. So as well, what he's doing there, what you can do is use that exactly the same as a clicker training. The moment the collar clicks, we're going to try and do that over the top of his head. So you click and he gets the reward, click and gets the reward. So it's exactly the same thing as working with a clicker. So as soon as that goes over, bang, he gets the treat. So he starts to relate to that being positive, to that being good. Now, treats might not work for every dog. You've just got to find what motivates the dog, and you have to use it to make sure that you get out of the dog what you want. At the end of the day, the exercise is we have to try and find a way to get the dog to change the state of mind that it's in around the object that it's causing the mind to freak out at the time.
Sit.
If you do not have the time to do this, if you're running short for time, do not engage in it. Wait until you have enough time. Wait until you are ready to do the exercise, because it might take a little bit of time, and you want to be very patient, and you're never in a hurry. Now you got to remember one thing. Whenever you're rehabilitating a dog, whenever you're training a dog, there is a way. There is always a way to do it. You've just got to find that way. So you've got to constantly think outside the square. You just want to be doing different things. You just got to try and find the key to the door to the dog's brain. So you want a different response from the brain to the same situation. That is the key. We want to remove the behaviour, the unwanted behaviour,
Come here. Sit.
and not train the dog into something different. Good boy.
Boy. Sit. Sit. Hey, Ruben.
So this is a sign here to me that the dog, he's starting to get a little bit bored, he's starting to get a little bit fed up. So that's it, that looks like it's the last part of the treat. So we're going to leave the dog now. We're going to put him away back into his run. He's going to chill for a couple of hours. We're going to go and do some other stuff with other dogs. And then we'll be back a little bit later on with Ruben. We'll do the same sort of exercise. But anytime we're going to go past his run, past his kennel, we'll be having a lead or a collar with us, and we're just going to help him come towards it, have a bit of treat, put his head through it again. Just the same thing. So it's going to be a lot of repetition with this guy until he just changes the state of mind that he's in. Because it might not look like it, but that could have been a very stressful type of exercise for him in one go, which is understandable because it's fear-based, it's fear-related, so we got to change the association. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in and watching. We'll be back a little bit later with different rehabs, so make sure that you guys subscribe to our Stream Up channel so you get notifications every time we go live. We have the app now, so we will just be going live at any time, any place. We'll be following the dogs anywhere we can. It's all been made nice and easy for us. If you haven't found the app just yet, it's only out for Apple and iOS. You can find it. Just Stream Up, just in the App Store. Download it. It's free to download, I believe, at the moment. I'm not 100% sure. So get out there, guys, download the app and view it from your phone, view it at any time, any place, nice and easy. So from us here at the moment, take it easy wherever you take.